So it looked like JuJu Watkins' Nike deal, from what I'm hearing, is worth way more than Caitlyn.
Nike has made a bold and controversial move that's sending shockwaves through the sports world. While Caitlin Clark continues to dominate headlines, breaking viewership records and packing stadiums across the country, the brand quietly shifted its focus elsewhere. Behind closed doors, Nike was busy securing a major endorsement deal with JuJu Watkins, a rising talent who hasn't yet played a minute of professional basketball. This decision has stirred intense debate, raising serious questions about how deals are made, who gets prioritized, and why. To many, it feels less like a business choice and more like a strategic message sent through corporate channels. Fans, analysts, and insiders alike are calling it out, not just for what it says about marketing strategy, but for what it reveals about deeper power dynamics in the sports industry. The public reaction? Widespread outrage, and this is only the beginning.
On the ground, people behind the scenes is letting it be known that JuJu Watkins has landed a major damn payday from Nike.
Let's set the record straight. Caitlin Clark isn't just another talented athlete. She's a cultural phenomenon who has completely reshaped the landscape of women's basketball. During her college career, she transformed ordinary NCAA matchups into headline-making, sold-out events. Her presence alone drew in viewership numbers that rivaled, and at times surpassed, major men's sports broadcasts. By the time she entered the WNBA, the narrative had shifted entirely. A league long searching for mainstream visibility suddenly had its breakout star, one who brought not just attention, but unprecedented energy and momentum. The impact is measurable. Ticket prices for games featuring Clark have surged, arenas are packed, and media coverage has exploded. The numbers don't lie, this is more than hype. It's history in motion.
When it comes to Rich Paul, he's a juggernaut. Now, he's going to make sure his players get special whistles. He's going to make sure they get the most money. And he's definitely going to make sure they remain popping, bro. So me personally, I believe, from what I'm hearing, that JuJu Watkins has landed upwards of $30+ million from Nike for a major shoe.
Tickets vanish within minutes when she's on the schedule. Television ratings consistently spike, often tripling, anytime she steps onto the court. On draft night, her jersey didn't just lead WNBA sales, it outsold every athlete across every sport. By every data point that matters, Caitlin Clark has not only elevated women's basketball, she's become the foundation of its new era. Naturally, the next step seemed obvious. Clark, the undeniable face of a movement, would become the face of Nike. It was a foregone conclusion for fans, analysts, and marketers alike. But just as the moment of crowning arrived, just as the spotlight narrowed, Nike delivered a stunning reversal. Instead of celebrating her rise, they redirected the narrative entirely, leaving millions blindsided and asking one question: why now?
I was listening to Rich Paul say it was the biggest shoe deal since Zion. That's crazy. Have you done anything? Have you splashed out with any of the money?
No. I try to be very smart, but yeah, just super grateful for the opportunity.
Just as fans were counting down the days to what felt like an inevitable announcement, Caitlin Clark's signature shoe with Nike, a completely unexpected headline emerged from behind the scenes. A bombshell report began circulating, and it didn't involve Clark at all. Instead, the spotlight shifted to JuJu Watkins, a standout college freshman coming off a sensational first season. According to industry whispers, quickly amplified by trusted insiders, Nike had offered Watkins a staggering endorsement deal, reportedly in the neighborhood of $30 million. That's a jaw-dropping figure for any athlete, but especially for someone who hasn't yet set foot on a professional court. Her potential is undeniable, but the move raised a pressing question. What does this say about Nike's priorities?
Does your shoe deal prove that women's sport is every bit as popular as men's sport these days?
I don't know. I don't think that's really up to me to answer, but like I said, just super grateful for everything, and the women's game is definitely.
To understand the magnitude of this deal, consider who brokered it: Rich Paul, one of the most influential agents in all of sports. He didn't shy away from comparisons either. In public statements, Paul likened JuJu Watkins' Nike contract to Zion Williamson's massive $75 million agreement with Jordan Brand, which was famously signed before he ever played a single NBA game. That comparison sent shockwaves through the industry. Because suddenly, Caitlin Clark, the most recognizable name in women's sports, a proven ratings magnet, and the driving force behind an entire league's resurgence, was being financially eclipsed by an untested college athlete. The numbers didn't seem to reflect reality. and for many, the math and the message behind it simply didn't make sense.
Watkins just signed a multi-year contract extension with Nike that'll give her one of the richest shoe endorsement deals in women's basketball. Nike officials finished discussions today on the deal with negotiations led by Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul and Watkins' team. JuJu originally signed with Nike as a high school senior back in October 2022, and now coming off a season after becoming the all-time leading scorer among freshmen in NCAA Division I basketball history, she continues to make history by securing one of the richest endorsement deals for a female athlete.
While the sports world waited for the announcement of Caitlin Clark's signature shoe, an unexpected headline shifted the spotlight. A behind-the-scenes report surfaced, revealing that JuJu Watkins, a standout college freshman with undeniable potential, had secured a massive deal from Nike, reportedly worth around $30 million. The figure alone was enough to stop the industry in its tracks. And the man behind the deal? Rich Paul, the high-powered agent known for brokering blockbuster contracts. He publicly compared Watkins' deal to Zion Williamson's $75 million Jordan brand agreement, a deal made before Zion ever played in the NBA. The comparison was intentional and strategic. Suddenly, the most influential figure in women's sports was being financially outshined by a college freshman, and fans were left wondering, how does that make sense? This wasn't just about the money. Caitlin Clark's Nike deal, reportedly worth $28 million, had been celebrated as a landmark in women's basketball. But now, that once historic contract feels like a footnote. Because the issue isn't the $2 million difference, it's the optics, the silence, the absence of effort. Where's Caitlin Clark's signature shoe? Where are the high-impact commercials, the global marketing rollouts, the full-scale campaign declaring her as the face of Nike? The answer, troublingly, is nowhere. Nike landed the most valuable athlete in women's sports, and left her sitting on the bench. To fans, it felt less like an investment and more like a corporate freeze-out. As if Nike signed her not to elevate her, but to keep her from signing elsewhere. But the real turning point came when people started asking why. And the answer, increasingly, seems to have little to do with basketball, and everything to do with politics and power. JuJu Watkins is represented by Clutch Sports, the agency co-founded by LeBron James and led by Rich Paul. Clutch isn't just an agency, it's a power broker. Their influence runs deep, and their relationship with Nike, cemented by LeBron's billion-dollar lifetime deal, is one of the strongest alliances in sports. Rich Paul doesn't wait for stars to emerge. He builds them. He demands visibility. And Nike listens. So when Nike elevated Watkins over Clark, many saw it not as a merit-based decision, but as a political favor to Clutch. In the boardroom, it may have made strategic sense. But in the real world, it looked like a cold betrayal of the athlete who had already earned the spotlight. The backlash was instant and fierce. Social media erupted. The frustration wasn't directed at JuJu Watkins, who is widely respected for her talent and potential. The outrage was aimed squarely at Nike. Fans felt manipulated. They pointed to the sold-out games, the record-breaking viewership, the cultural wave Caitlin Clark created, and asked how that could possibly be ignored. The message Nike seemed to send was clear: influence behind closed doors outweighs earned popularity on the court. And for a company built on the mantra "just do it," that struck millions as tone-deaf and out of touch. Instead of empowering fans, Nike told them their voice didn't matter. But this decision isn't happening in a vacuum. It adds fuel to a broader, more troubling narrative that's followed Clark throughout her rookie season, that the establishment is actively trying to hold her back. We saw it when WNBA players, in a move many saw as driven by jealousy, voted her 9th among guards for the All-Star game, a snub so absurd it made national news. We see it in the harsh, physical play she faces night after night, with little intervention from officials. And now, Nike's decision to sideline her marketing momentum feels like yet another attempt to diminish a star they didn't choose, and can't control. They didn't build Caitlin Clark. The fans did. And it seems the system is trying to correct that. But the irony is, the more they try to silence her, the louder her story becomes. Nike's decision has triggered a cascade of unintended consequences. First, it places immense pressure on JuJu Watkins. Fair or not, she's now seen as the player Nike chose over Caitlin Clark. Every performance, every missed shot, every quiet game will be viewed through that lens. The comparisons are inevitable, and often unfair. But second, and far more impactful, it has transformed Clark into something more powerful than a superstar. She's now the underdog. The fighter. The people's champion standing against a system that seems determined to marginalize her. Her fanbase has only grown more loyal, more vocal, and more ready to support her with every snub. Meanwhile, Nike's competitors, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, are watching closely. And they're seeing the opportunity of a lifetime. If Nike drops the ball, another brand could swoop in, offer Clark the spotlight she deserves, and build their entire women's division around the star Nike failed to elevate. The media headlines would write themselves. What makes this all the more puzzling is that Nike is not operating from a position of strength. This isn't the untouchable behemoth of the 1990s. Today, Nike is losing ground. Their stock has wobbled. Sales are slipping. They're being outpaced by faster-growing rivals like Hoka and On Running. At a time when the brand desperately needed a cultural win, they had one handed to them, wrapped, ready, and backed by millions of fans. Caitlin Clark brought Nike a golden demographic, engaged, enthusiastic, and eager to buy in. From young girls to families across Middle America, she offered a rare connection between sport and culture. And instead of doubling down, Nike turned away. It's a level of strategic misfire that borders on corporate malpractice. And as Nike fumbles, the silence from the WNBA is deafening. Clark is single-handedly driving the league's visibility, revenue, and cultural relevance. Yet the WNBA has made no public effort to question Nike's decision, let alone defend the player revitalizing their sport. Whether they're too intimidated to challenge their biggest sponsor, or quietly complicit in the politics, it's a terrible look. Fans are noticing. And the message they're receiving? That what happens off the court may matter more than what happens on it. It's a stark departure from Nike's own legacy. When a young LeBron James entered the NBA, Nike didn't hesitate. They launched a full campaign, The Chosen One, before he ever played a single minute. His first signature shoe dropped immediately. He was treated as the face of the brand from day one. Before that, Michael Jordan was elevated to such iconic heights that Nike built an entire standalone empire around him. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, who's arguably had a faster and more dramatic cultural impact than any rookie since LeBron, the response is hesitant, muted, even dismissive. Nike knows how to build global stars. They've done it before. Their failure to do so here doesn't look like an accident, it feels like a conscious choice. And it raises troubling questions about how seriously the brand treats its female athletes compared to their male counterparts. So what's Nike's real endgame? This isn't just a business decision, it's a billion-dollar bet on the future of influence in sports. By backing JuJu Watkins and the Clutch Sports Machine, Nike is attempting to reshape the narrative. They're saying, we decide who becomes a star, not the fans. They believe that with enough marketing muscle and behind-the-scenes leverage, they can build the next icon from the ground up. But it's a tone-deaf strategy in a world that now values authenticity over orchestration. Today's fans don't want stars made in boardrooms. They want athletes who earn it, on the court, in the spotlight, and in the hearts of millions. Nike isn't just betting against Caitlin Clark. They're betting against her fans. And that may turn out to be one of the most costly miscalculations in sports marketing history. Because in trying to manufacture a new queen, Nike has only strengthened the reign of the one they tried to overshadow. They forgot one fundamental truth about greatness: it's not handed down by corporations. It's forged in competition, earned through performance, and kept alive by fans who never stop showing up. And that's the story they handed Caitlin Clark, the one she never asked for, but now owns completely. The story of an icon.